We got four talented guys up here. We have Dewayne from Clare County, Michigan. We have Daren from Grant County, South Dakota. We have Joe from Pennington County, and we have Wes from City of Sioux Falls. So I think I'll let them introduce themselves, but after they introduce themselves, also just let them know how long you've been doing maintenance and preservation of your bridges. And let's start over here.
I'm Daren Peterson. I'm from Grant County, which is in the northeast section of South Dakota. We border Minnesota. Grant County is part of a whetstone valley, so I've got upper land, the valley edges, and then I've got the valley bottom. We're number 2 in the state for bridges. We got 168 inspected structures, and we had 70 some under 20. I'm down to 30 on that. We're kind of unique in that we've had our own bridge crew for a long time. I was the foreman for 24 years of that, and we built 50 of our own concrete structures and had 38 done with federal and state money, and 32 replaced that were under 20 feet. And we've also done several with culverts, some of them being lined culverts. So from 98 when I started there, we were 56% structurally deficient on our bridges, and then at the end of next year, when we get the 5 done in 24, we'll be at 9.5%. So.
Joe Miller, Pennington County. So I reside here in Rapid City. You guys probably, if you flew into our airport there and drove through our county up into Meade County and Lawrence County here. I haven't been doing it near as long as Daren here. I graduated from School of Mines here, the good school in Rapid City. So most of my South Dakota folks will get that joke, but been doing it for about 5 years here. We got to be close to the top 10. If you got 168, we've got 127 inspected structures, and I don't know how many under 20 feet, but quite a few. Currently, our bridges we've got 19 in poor condition, 23 posted, and 12 of those are poor and posted. But Pennington County is kind of unique in that most everybody from South Dakota will know the 1972 flood did quite the damage in Rapid City there. So we've got quite a few structures that are reaching the end of their lifespan with double T's. So got 21 that are 45 to 50 years old, and we've got 69 of them that are 50 plus years old. I believe our oldest one was built in 1911. That's currently standing, and we've got some federal money to try and replace that one. I believe it's going to be constructed next year. So, yeah.
My name is Wes Phillips with City of Sioux Falls. Sioux Falls, if you're not familiar with it, is on the opposite side of the state, about 5.5 hours east. Very fast-growing city. I think I saw one of the top 50 fastest-growing cities in the country. We have just right around 50 official structures in the city, 109 total, which include like pedestrian box culverts and park bridges, park pedestrian bridges. Most of our money for bridges in the past has gone towards reconstructing failed structures. We've had some surprise bridges that the condition deteriorated quickly and we had to pop up a quick project. But we have been trying to get better at preservation projects, and over the last 10 years we have substantially done a lot more in that area. My career's been mostly transportation related, project and program management. So the bridges are, a small part of what I do. We do a lot of street preservation, ADA, in addition to our bridge program.
I'm Dewayne Rogers, Clare County Road Commission in Michigan, and I didn't bring a map, so we're right about there. Rural county, roughly 30,000 people population-wise. I'm the managing director of the road commission there. Our annual budget's like $7 to $9 million maybe annually. And that's for road maintenance, winter maintenance, and bridge maintenance. So we have 42 bridges on the state system. I have one critical bridge left due to be replaced in 2025, and then I'll just be all maintenance from there on out. But I've been in the local agency world for almost 8 years, consulting world for about 5 years, and worked for MDOT for about 13 years. So I've been doing this since I was 2. But not to age myself. Yeah, I guess that's about. We have our own bridge crew in Clare. I'd started one in another county as well. So the guys are really hands-on, and we've been able to really achieve a lot of things in-house and we're getting really, really efficient. So it's fun.
All right, so how long have you guys been doing maintenance or preservation on your bridges?
We've been trying to keep up with them all along. Like I said, since '98, we've built 50 of our own. Couple unique things I'm going to try Monday. I've got a foam jack guy scheduled to come and drill holes in an asphalt road to fill the void that's behind the deck, because they put precast decks on a wood back wall, but they overhung them too far. So in the flood that we had this spring, it went over the top of the cap and eroded underneath the asphalt. So I'm going to try a foam jack system rather than trying to cut the asphalt and patch and have a bump on both sides forever. So another thing we did is we lost one piling from ice, and there was enough out of the ground yet that was still good. So we cut that down to where it was good and welded a 1/2-inch plate inside of a well casing big enough to sleeve that, drove that down with our excavator, and welded a H-beam on top of that up underneath the cap, and kept the bridge going until it can be replaced next year. So
Just like Daren here, we've been doing bridge, rehabilitations and maintenance for as long as I can tell in Pennington County. Interesting enough, I took this job in December of 2018, and in 2019 we had the wettest year on record, so we had a bridge collapse within my first 6 months. So that was a fun task to tackle. And then we actually went to one of our local bridge contractors, and he had a temporary bridge that he uses for a bypass, and we actually ended up making that a permanent structure over to replace this one, and got a bridge reopened in about 8 weeks actually. So we've got a lot of concrete double T's due to the 72 flood. They were quick to do and quick to replace all the bridges that had washed out. So we're tasked with trying to keep up with those double T's and just keep trying to replace deck units as we can. We have very few timber bridges left, but we try and maintain those and replace them as we need to. So
in Sioux Falls, so I was a more pavement and surfacing engineer about 10 years ago, and then we had a retirement, and then leadership said, here, you can have bridges too. So that was fun. And so at that time, we were doing maintenance, but I don't think it was part of a plan or as organized. And my predecessor was starting to get a system with our inspector or our consultant inspector to really, go through the reports and get recommendations out, and then program maintenance based on those. So really about 10 years we've been trying to formally look at maintenance and preservation, but we don't always get everything done that we'd like to do.
In Clare, it's literally been 4 years. So I hired in 4 years ago as the manager, and then it was like in November, and then by the following spring, I kind of talked to the crew that I have like 26 union guys, and said, who wants to work on bridges, and got volunteers, and then we started small, really simplified things. We brush cutting, sweeping, power washing things, and then we just kept challenging them, and so yeah, it's been active for about 4 years.
All right, you answered my next question about what kind of maintenance activities you guys were doing, but for the others up here, what type of activities are you doing to maintain or preserve your bridges? Whether that's concrete, timber, or steel bridges?
We had 3 rehabs recently in the last 3 years. They were all done at the same time. I tried to group bridges in a local area so that we can get a better price if the contractor can bid all the bridges together. They sandblasted the beams, painted the beams, put concrete overlay on 2 of them, polymer seal on 1 of them. Most of our ones that I've done are out of double T with a concrete wall and footing, are on gravel. So there's not a whole lot of extra maintenance on them except keeping the overburden off.
We've got a lot, like I said, a lot of double Ts. Unlike Daren here, we do have a lot of asphalt, a lot over those. I think we just ground some asphalt off one to get the load rating back up. I think that's on a timber structure to raise the load rating about 2 or 3 tons there. But yeah, anytime we touch a double T bridge, we take the asphalt off. Every spring we wash all of our bridges, do the best we can to get all the chloride and salt and whatnot off of them for the summertime, so we get that to stop eating at them. But here, it's since I've been here, we've done quite a rehab, about $1 million worth of rehab every year. So it's about as far as that'll get us. Sometimes it's 2 bridges, sometimes it's 4 or 5 bridges. So yeah.
Typically in Sioux Falls, we're doing polymer chip seals, and then as a part of those projects, we do approach repairs if we need it, mud jacking if there's any voids around abutments, any debris removal, painting of railings and other items, and then we're going to be doing our first low slump overlay, at least that we've done in a long time here in the next couple years. So those are the typical activities we do.
Like I said, we started simple, brushing, cleaning. We've got into doing the crack chasing, silane treatments, concrete surface coating of the barrier wall. We have a lot of double Ts as well, and also a lot of concrete box culverts with the HMA overlay. We've peeled off the old asphalt, cleaned the deck, membrane waterproofed it, put a new asphalt overlay on with approaches. Guardrail goosing, that's a big thing. That helps get the water off the deck big time. We have a lot of buildup over the years of that. We've done a joint repair with UHPC on a double T bridge. We're working on a superstructure replacement right now with UHPC panels. We did a complete replacement of a bridge with GRS abutment walls, and then tub girder beams with a UHPC precast deck. And then this summer we did 2 other bridge replacements with the GRS and then a UHPC panel. So we've been doing the aluminum arch culverts, large culverts, and we actually did a 32-foot span bridge of one of those as well, all in-house. So I'm keeping them as busy as possible.
All right, as mentioned earlier that some of those activities are a result of bridge inspections. You want to expand on that, or how are you guys are determining what you do and when you do it? You know, is it based on just recommended intervals, or is it cyclic every 2 years, 3 years for certain treatments, or how are you coming up with your recommendations and your activities to move forward with?
Ideally, it would be cyclical, I mean, in a perfect world, but I do go through our bridge reports, and that gives you a good idea of where to even start, or, you know, and then honestly, some days I go for a ride and I see a bridge and something bugs me, and I put it on the schedule and have the guys go out and take care of it. But I mean, ideally, if you could get caught up on everything, yes, cyclical things can be done, but right now it's just if I see something, fix it. That's kind of my approach.
Anybody want to add to that?
Yeah, we don't have any really cyclic procedures that we do at this point, but I'm pretty intrigued just hearing, you know, what others do at this conference to try to promote some of that for the city. You know, we really take our inspections, and with our consultant, IMEG does our inspections. We work with the South Dakota DOT to facilitate that process, but then we kind of split the recommendations into two categories. Ones that we think our city crews are capable of doing, and we give them that list, and they work on that in their downtime throughout the year. The other, you know, more advanced recommendations, we look at trying to put together projects with the funding we have, or apply for, in South Dakota, there's the big grants, which are a really good benefit for municipalities, and we've gotten several of those. So we primarily program based on inspection.
We're much the same in Pennington County. I mean, we've got 23 bridges that are posted, or that have been posted. So a lot of it's driven by our inspections, trying to get some of those poor bridges up to good condition with rehabs and rebuild, you know, reconstructions, while still maintaining some of the other structures. So it's definitely a balancing act with us. We work with our engineer KLJ, who's here somewhere, and just kind of go through those and put them on a 5-year plan. And as any good plan, it all changes every once in a while. You know, you have a bridge collapse, and you have to put that one up to the front, and just try and base it off the inspections with balancing the reconstructions and making our dollars go as far as we can. We're fortunate enough to have the wheel tax that our legislator allowed us to put in place, which then allows us to put in for the big funds. So again, it's just a balancing act, trying to do the rehabs and the maintenance stuff.
We follow the same. We go by the engineer's report, and then we go by location, the use of it. Of the 7,500 people that are in Grant County, there's plenty of experts that are willing to let me know what I need to do. Because of all the bridges we've done, 130 structures we've replaced, we've only done 2 kinds. The right one at the wrong time, or the wrong one, but we did them anyway, so.
All right, barring the rehab and replacement projects, what are some of the costs on some of your preservation activities, if you want to share those? Maybe nobody knows off the top of their head.
We just did, this year we had 4 bridges that had a total of, I believe it was probably, I don't know, where's Levi? He's here somewhere with Holloway. They did 4 preservations for us, and I think they replaced 24 deck units over 4 bridges, and it come in just about a little over $1 million this year. So those costs have gone up astronomically, you know, since COVID, as everybody knows. But that's what the 4 preservations cost us this year.
The concrete bridges that we build ourselves started out at about 45,000 total. The last one I built last year was 110, so we've saved a bunch of money on them 50 structures.
So we've got a polymer chip seal project we're working on, ballpark 700,000. I believe that's for 2 structures. And so two structures on 1 street, about $700,000 for that. We would pay 20% of that with the big grant. So the city's match is $140,000, which is a great deal.
You don't have to.
Yeah, I don't
Okay. All right. So is there any tips or secrets you want to share as far as doing some of this maintenance or preservation activities? You know, just an example is like if you're doing something with timber and it's treated and you have to cut a member, you know, you go back in and put sealer over those cut areas. Anything like that you want to share with any of the folks here?
One thing I've noticed of all the bridges I've removed, the ones that had a tin or aluminum cap nailed onto the top of the piling were in much better shape than just the bare top. And we also use a lot of granite. We're fortunate that we have 2 granite quarries in Grant County. So we do a lot of riprap, and it's readily available, and Fisher Sand and Gravel's there crushing. They have a permanent plant, so we got every size available. So we also do a lot of riprap and fabric too.
All right. Is there any specific maintenance or preservation activities that you've seen that has made an impact that you think is helping extend the life of your bridges?
We've had good luck with polymer chip seals. I know that not everybody has, but we kind of feel like the prep is really the key, and the environmental conditions, or you have to have them, you know, everything has to be perfect and then they'll perform well, but if not, then you get issues. We started doing those about 8 years ago, and so far they're looking pretty good. So it's just the really detail-orientedness during those projects, making sure we're holding the contractor accountable. Most of our larger projects are all contractor work. And then, you know, the public really likes the approach slab repair projects because we've got a really engaged public, and they like to complain. So if we can smooth those out, they love it.
My biggest 2 things, I guess I would say, and I always say, is the water and preparation. You keep the water off your deck, right? It's kind of the roof to your system. So whether it's goosing the guardrail, cleaning your downspout, getting gravel off, you know, the outside edges, along anything that holds water, take care of it. And then preparation, whether it's an epoxy overlay or the membrane waterproofing or silane treatment, anything. I mean, all you guys, I think, have good products, and I really think a lot of it comes down to preparation of the surface that you're waterproofing, and then, you know, just doing it the right way, and I think you get good results that way. So.
All right. Is there anything else you guys want to share before we open up for questions? All right. Is there any questions? Do you want to know what goose in the guardrail means? Is that what you said?
I was going to ask that.
My 4-year-old brain is going weird places.
All right. I had a comment. I'm glad all the local agencies came, and I wanted to ask each of you what you, if you gained something interesting from your time here, if you could share what one thing you want to take back and implement. I'm going to give
I'm trying to think of something specific, but meeting new people has been amazing. And I'm all about contacts and resources, like Jason said earlier. When there's something you come across and you don't know, odds are one of you guys know it. So I've met some really great people, and I feel like I'll be in touch with them past this conference, so that's, to me, worth its weight in gold. Goosing a guardrail is, you get the dirt built up underneath the guardrail, and you just push the dirt out and roll it down the slope. So I had my shop build a hydraulic blade, goes on the front of a skid steer, but I've seen them on the side of a road grader or something where they can just drive along and push the dirt out, and then it gets the water off your approach and whatever. So, technical term, Jason.
Probably the thing I've taken away so far is the, deck sealer possibilities. We haven't really gotten into that a ton. And then just the cyclic maintenance, trying to get into that sort of a preservation routine. And then snibby, I'd never heard of that before, so I'm sure it's coming our way someday, but I don't think I have to worry about it right now. And I liked more of the hands-on, some of the presentations were way above the level that we operate on, and some of them were right where we're at, so I think it was really interesting so far.
Yeah, I think one of the main things I took away is from the gentleman's presentation here this morning is don't be afraid to try new things, try different things, right? There's a lot of technology out there, and sometimes us in South Dakota, we're like the last ones to get the technology, it seems like, or learn about it. So try to do the research and learn some new things and try. Don't be afraid to try them. And then same with the deck sealing. I didn't know there was that many products out there to seal a concrete deck. So it's definitely interesting and something to take back and try.
I'm with these guys on the deck sealing part. I got 5 of them coming up that are due, and I only had a few choices before. I guess I have more now.
I guess I just, first of all, want to introduce myself as another local agency person, be it I'm from Colorado. My name's Courtney Shepard. If you want to reach out to me and share any information after the conference. But I did have a question, and that's if you perform any inspections on your minor structures or your under 20-foot length structures.
Yes, we do that, and I went through several years ago and made a complete inspection book, pictures, measurements, drawings, the whole bit, just like the NBIS inspections, so.
Yeah, Pennington County, before my time, actually went through and digitized and digitized all their inventory, pictures, diameters, lengths, all roadways, cover, all the aspects of all of our 4,200 culverts in our county. And then this year, the legislature, about 2 years ago, they put together a rural access infrastructure fund, and all of the structures that are between that 16 square foot opening up to a bridge, they call a small structure. The legislature set aside some funding for the townships and the county secondary roads. So we went ahead and inventoried all of those again and got a much better inventory on those. So.
So with our park structures, we've been a little more proactive on those in the past. We inspect those on a 5-year cycle with our consultant that does those inspections for us. In the last year, we kind of did an audit on all of our structures and the asset information we have. And we found a few structures that had not made it onto our list for whatever reason in the past. I mean, they were constructed probably in the transition of people, and they just never made it on the list. So we added a couple actual, or one actual structure, and then a couple like pedestrian underpasses that just kind of got forgotten about. And so this year we're catching up on those inspections, and we're planning to mimic what the parks does with the 5-year cycle on all those structures.
I hire a consultant to do the bridge inspections biannually. We haven't done the small ones unless we have to, but which means like if something looks like it's not safe to drive over, I'll have it inspected. But I think in Michigan, I believe it's going to be required to be done every 5 years is what I'm hearing. So I'll probably be doing that soon, so.
Yeah, I guess for North Dakota, I'll answer for them. We don't have a good handle on some of our minor structures. Back in the 80s, when the requirement moved to 20 feet and greater, we have a huge section that was not inspected since then. So a lot of those records went to our historical society. So India, Sioux, Upper Great Plains, and their LTAP at the time, they went over and they got all of the historical information. They put it in their what they call GRIT. It's a GIS-based inventory tool for all the counties and locals to go through and verify. So that's what the processes are going now, to verify that they're still there. What condition are they in? Is the same structure there? Whether it's 2 pipes or 3 pipes, whatever it is. And then we've had other counties that have hired consultants to go ahead and do minor structures and inventory across the board. So yeah, we're all over the board at the moment. We don't have a good handle on a lot of our minor structures.
Just while David's getting there, I don't know if Brian didn't introduce himself very well, but Brian Fuchs used to work at North Dakota DOT, worked on bridge stuff, but in the local agency division, and now he is the head of the North Dakota LTAP, and also involved with Upper Great Plains Transportation Institute.
Yeah, that's correct. LTAP
Okay.
is under Upper Great Plains.
And Upper Great Plains is a regional. So
Yeah, it wasn't about me, it was about these guys, so.
it's about you too, because they may want to contact you.
Hi. Over the past couple of days, yesterday and today, I've heard a lot of you say or refer to the public as your customer and say, they love to complain and they don't understand repairs unless they can blatantly see them. So I was curious, at what point do you educate the public about the need for repairs? Is it proactively? Is it as the jobs come up? And if it's not proactively, is it worth, finding a way to maybe do that?
I don't know if it was intentional or not, but here 3 years ago, Pennington County, so our legislator passed Senate Bill 1, which allowed the wheel tax to be implemented by the counties in 2015. Our county implemented it. It was referred to a vote and defeated at that point. Well, our county commission here about 3 years ago, right about 2 months after a bridge collapse, kind of good timing there, chose to implement the wheel tax under an emergency clause, so it wasn't referable to a vote. And before that, we did a huge education campaign to our public and to those in opposition of exactly that. This is why it's needed. The 70-some structures that are 50 years old at reaching the end of their lifespan. So I think that helped our case and helped the public understand the need and that you can't always see the repairs that are needed and the dollars that are need to be spent. So that was our approach.
Yeah. I'm not sure that I answer this correctly. But local agency is a whole nother animal from state agency when it comes to the public, because you are very closely relatable to every single person almost in the county. And we get phone calls that you literally would not believe. My foreman has taken a lady cat treats because her road wasn't plowed and she, whatever. I mean, there are, so anyways, we do get a lot of that. People don't understand the bridges, but I don't think, it's tricky how to educate them because I don't know if they can be educated. So I go to, that was nice.
Exactly.
So I go to township board meetings. I have my own board, but we have 16 townships in our county. So I try and go to the township meetings. I do a PowerPoint presentation showing some of the work we're doing, and then I try and explain why we're doing it. And that does seem to help, but I mean, the township meetings, you might get 8 to 20 people at a time. So for the general population, you're still kind of a dummy every time you close a bridge and they don't know what's going on. But it's just the nature of the beast. My mom and dad think I hold a stop slow paddle for work every day. So, I mean, to teach everyone everything is very, very, very difficult. So I keep it to myself and make it very simple when I have to, and that's about it.
So in Sioux Falls, we're very proactive with communication with our citizens, and that's very good. We haven't done as much with bridges, but like we have a payment management survey national company that comes in and does a survey, and they have said, like, you guys have done way more proactive communication with this survey than anybody we've ever seen. Like 3 news stations show up to a news conference that we have to talk about it. But we haven't done that quite for the bridges. The bridge conversations, education are more done through controversy. So earlier this year, there was some national bridge tragedy or concern or something. I don't even remember what it was. But then that gets people looking at our bridges, and somebody called one of the TV stations with a spall on a bridge, and is this bridge gonna fall down sort of thing. And this news outlet kind of thought it was a legitimate story. So we chose to actually do the interview and use it as more of an educational piece on bridge inspections, what we're doing, why we're doing what we're doing. I think it turned out really well. Overall, the amount of just general publicity that we do, or proactive communication, like the city has a pretty good reputation, I think, for being reputable. So that we have a high level of trust, I think, compared to some areas. But we also had a bridge project that this year that came in double what the estimate was, and we awarded it for reasons. And so there was a lot of discussion around that, and I got to do lots of TV interviews this year. Just big project, exciting, downtown. So people are in tune with our bridges, but we could be more proactive and less just, controversy responsive.
Yeah, for North Dakota, we've been fortunate that every 2 years our legislator provides funding to NDSU Upper Great Plains to do a needs assessment study on the county and township road and bridges. So every 2 years that gets updated based on current data, based on current bridge inspections. One of the tasks now is the minor structures, anything less than 20 feet, to get a handle on that. Then over the course of the year, when they come to session, if they have extra money due to the oil up there, they divvy out some extra money, and they also have a pot of money called the Prairie Dog Funds that they will usually divvy out once that bucket fills, and provide those based on that needs assessment study to the local agencies to help maintain and repair and replace some of the bridges and roads across the state. So they do that on a statewide level, and those studies are published in the newspaper, When the funding goes out, they reference the study and the needs assessment study and the amount of money that's needed, but it's never enough money that they provide. It's always a prorated amount based on what they have available. So
Can I ask a question out here? Does everybody from wherever you're from know what the most important road is in your area? Yeah, the one that goes to my house. So why are you building that bridge over there?
We, just along those lines, I think it was Western Bridge, Nancy, that had a presentation over here, David. There's companies that are emerging that do the PR work for this kind of stuff, and they're relatively new getting into the highway infrastructure component, but we saw a really good presentation from a company out of Colorado.
Yeah.
I think it was last week, and very impressive how they were able to get some funding increases for one of the suburbs of Denver, and pretty interesting.
It was actually in the local agency, local agency working group. So we have a working
Okay,
group.
yeah.
And so they've been dealing with a lot of that funding, how do you get funding, and then this particular presentation. And if anybody wants a copy of it, we can get you a copy of it. But it was a presentation by a company in Colorado that does this. They actually, it's kind of a PR type firm, and they have proven themselves to be able to get the point across and to educate people and be able to increase funding, to help with that kind of stuff. So that's talking about different resources, and I can wait until the end too, but I have a number of different resources that will help maybe with some of the stuff that we're talking about. So, but we'll wait. Any other questions?
Yeah, because when we do our job really, really good, nobody notices, right? That's the way it works.
They sure notice when a bridge collapses on a major road, though.
Absolutely. Well, but that's maybe not doing our job really good, right?
So we've had a lot of discussion about repairs and maintenance of structures under particularly concrete and keeping the road open. What about the wood structures? So I have a lot of wood timber abutments and wood pilings. Sometimes, in fact, most of them have concrete decks on them or a precast concrete deck, but the wood piling is aging. Do you guys have best recommendations of making those pilings last longer or even replacing them under, whether it's splicing or methods to, without opening up taking the deck off and driving new piling?
Does anyone out here? I mean, I know that there's some resources for timber piling jackets and different things. And I don't want to speak to that, but there are some resources if you're not aware of them.
Iowa had some pretty good details that Louisiana, we stole from them, and then we actually did some study on some pile splices with fiber wrap and some different motor grader blades, that kind of stuff to actually, it's what maintenance units will use, right? Anything that's steel to splice it. So we just finished that study, and I know Haley Brown was here. So we have Louisiana has some details if you want to look at them.
Yeah, I know based on some of depending on what you're looking at, some of our counties up there, they've decided that based on, they can't do the work themselves because they need a crane to bring in to get the beams off. So once they start doing that, then to replace that piling, and the cost is approaching $100,000 or more, so they decide, if we can put some culverts in there, large culverts in there, that's what they do instead. They don't bother with the repair, they just replace it.
Yeah, I know. I've done where you put basically some type of an encapsulating tube around it, remove all the rotted wood. A couple of them I've even looking at possibly even doing some reinforcement along with it, but a lot of times just encapsulating that with the concrete. We've done some splicing as well, typically when it's up against a abutment and you have your tiebacks to help hold it back, and then we'll typically use like a big C channel and make sure you get past the rotted area, but looking for other ideas outside the box that might work. I've seen lots of stuff in PDFs, but, you know, what actually works is good to know.
We've actually had two of ours that had wood back walls. Holloway did them. Took concrete decks off the one, put steel H-beams in and steel back walls and reset. And the other one was a steel beam structure with a steel deck on it, and they took that off, sandblasted, painted, and rebuilt the bridge that way and used the top over again, so.
Yesterday, I was in a research meeting, and I think it was Adirod from Central Florida University was talking about using UHPC to repair timber piling, but it's all kind of going together. But and he was saying that the UHPC, he wasn't too concerned about the condition of the timber. All the load would go into the UHPC.
And that may be an option. There are some other types of things like that might be an option. I don't know cost-wise, you know, but you could certainly look at things. Anybody else have any thoughts on that? Okay. Any other questions? Okay, so I mentioned that we would, you know, give you a few resources. The local agency outreach working group. There are some documents on our website. Our website can be a great resource. There are QR codes, or you can Google TSP2. We have links to some federal highway documents. There's a bridge preservation federal highway guide that has some great information about just basic cyclical programs and maybe some things like that you can set up. There are some additional resources that are linked in there. There's a local agency preservation document that is also, there's a link for that on our website. If you go to our website and you go to technical, there's links for federal highway with some different documents. Some of it's a little challenging, but the local agency has some documents, some presentations and things that are on there also. The pocket guides have some great resources for general cleaning and things like that, and to help maybe set up a program like that. You know, if there's, as you said, this is a great resource right here. You all, at the end of this meeting, will get an updated attendee list, so you will have emails for all of the people that are here. So you will be able to have a contact list. You can always get in contact with us if you have questions. We can reach out to people. Anything I missed, Todd or David? Okay. Any other comments, questions that any of you have? All right. It is. I really appreciate. I really appreciate Sarah and the Midwest Partnership for really reaching out to the locals. We want to be a resource, and sometimes it gets overlooked. You have a huge number of bridges, and you have some big challenges. Many of the challenges are similar to state challenges. Some are quite unique to counties, and so I commend the Bridge Partnership for really reaching out this year in a number of different ways and helping bring all of you here. So we appreciate that and hope that you are getting something good out of that. So
Thank you.
thank you.